Welcome to another episode of Art Scene at SMC, the art show where we feature local artists that live and work either near or around Somerville or in Somerville, and who are featured at the Somerville Media Center art wall. This month we have Ricardo Maldonado, who is a resident of Cambridge, joining us in the studio. How are you doing, Ricardo?
Very good, thank you.
Welcome. So you're going to be showing your work here at SMC August 19th through September 25th. And your work is really vibrant and colorful, and they're often of landscapes. Some are tropical, some are New England. And we can talk about that. We'll talk about that soon. But I want to delve into your practice as an artist. So how do you work as an artist? Do you have a studio? Do you work in your home?
I do have a little studio in my home, which is the basement. It doesn't get much light, so occasionally I use my son's room, which is upstairs. But before I go further, let me just thank you, Dave, and thank Somerville Media Center. It's an honor, and I'm very happy to be here.
We're happy to have your work.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent.
So I do paint in the basement most of the time. So occasionally I paint outside, plein air, which is a pleasure, weather permitting. But most of the time I paint indoors.
Yeah. And how'd you get started with painting?
It's a long story. I used to paint when I was a child.
Yeah.
Many years ago. And then I stopped. I started working and going to school, etc., etc. I had a son, and I think when I stopped helping with homework, I realized I could do something with my time.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, why not to take painting again? And that has been the last 10 years, maybe. Yeah.
That's great, especially with what you're painting and how you're painting it. It's a nice take on landscape painting. It kind of recalls to me very like a color by number flatness. You remember the color by number? Yes. Yeah, and so there's a nice flatness to your work, but it's also very recognizable as landscapes, and so that makes it very unique for me anyway. I don't know if that's insulting.
No.
Okay.
In fact, it's not the first time that I hear that.
Yeah.
As a praise, not as a criticism. It is flat most of the time. But at the same time, I try to get some depth, which is hard with single colors.
Yeah.
But I think I can make the paintings vibrant and alive and bring the light to the viewer. I guess not everybody, but most people who have seen them like them. I don't like them all, I have to confess. But most of them I enjoy, yes.
Very nice. And so what is it about your subject matter? What is it about these landscapes that makes you want to paint them? I like nature. I like being outside. I like the way that nature changes. The same place could be different with the season, with the time of the day, with the weather. So the same spot, if you go back a few days later, or even a few hours later, you'll see something completely different. That's what I like about nature. Yeah.
So that brings me, it is like a challenge to paint something that looks static, but is always changing.
Yeah.
And I have done similar paintings of the same spots, and they look different. So it is fun to do that.
Yeah, yeah, and especially in New England, where where we have very distinct seasons, and not all the regions in the U.S. have. I grew up in the desert Southwest, and there's only 2 seasons, really. So
Almost one.
yeah, almost one. Yeah, hot. And so yeah, here where there are really distinct seasons where you see real dramatic changes in the landscape. Yeah, I can see where you'd be attracted to that living around.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they really are.
I wish the winter were a little shorter, but they are all beautiful.
Yeah.
Especially early on at the beginning. I have painted the fall, I have painted winter scenes, summer scenes, some flowers as well, but the colors are always stunning, really.
Yeah. Well, let's look at some of your work here. It's summer, and this particular beach scene. I love the beach in the summer, like most people around here, and that really is. It captures the beach so well. You got the sand, you got the ocean, and the horizon, and the sky. What was this a particular beach in New England?
This is an imaginary beach.
Oh wow, nice.
But even though not all beaches look the same, obviously, I wanted to play with the blues, especially how the blue could be deeper or lighter. How the blue could be changing in the sea or in the sky. I am not 100% satisfied. I think it can always get better. But many people who have seen it do like it.
Yeah.
And it was very refreshing to do that painting, especially imagine yourself being there.
Yeah. It looks refreshing. I want to dive right in. And it also makes me think of how easily landscapes can become abstract, just because of you see the bands of color going across, but it's very distinctly like a natural beach scene that you're trying to render.
Now that you mention it. I am trying to do more abstract paintings, but contrary to what many people, including myself, think or thought, painting an abstract piece is not easy.
Yeah.
I find it much harder. I tend to do more figurative paintings because the abstraction, to get just the essentials of that image, that is very difficult to me.
Yeah.
I find it easier to paint something that you can tell what it is than to do an abstract painting. That's why what you see, you recognize most of the time.
Yeah.
That is why my style is like that.
And sticking with the landscapes, yeah, we see landscapes. Something that looks to me a little. It reminds me of Walden Pond, that may or may not be Walden Pond, and other kind of forest-like imagery. And the forest, we were talking about nature and changing seasons. I mean, to see a forest in different parts of time of the day, in different parts of the year. I mean, that's, you feel really small in that situation.
It's very humbling.
Yeah, exactly.
The forest is magic, and there are always mysteries, and there are always noises. You don't know if it's a bird or a bear. It could be after you. And the forest gets darker as you get in.
Yes, yeah.
To me, it's a very magical place. And it can be painted in many different ways, and it's very evocative. And I don't know, I have paintings of dark forests. I have paintings of paths like that one through the forest. You have no idea where it goes. And maybe you're afraid to go through.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful thing at the same time. So it has a lot of connotations that make you wonder.
Yeah, very calming, but also unsettling
Yes,
at the same time,
exactly.
like because you're in the unknown.
Exactly, it's very, very magic.
And then you have this other landscape here where it's a little more serene. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel like it's in a forest. It feels more like you're in a park or in some sort of man-made setting where the trees have been set to grow this way, and it has a very calming kind of
You got the. I'm very glad that you got the idea, because that was what I had in mind. Mm-hmm. This is a Kennedy Park by the Charles.
Oh yeah.
And it was very inviting to lay down there and to rest and relax. Mm-hmm. And the river, even though you don't see the river, but the river is nearby.
Yeah.
And the challenge in this painting was to get the right green that would be inviting and relaxing at the same time. Even though green is normally relaxing, but it could be also unsettling.
Yeah.
This painting, I'm happy that you actually said what you said, because it is what I intended to do with it.
Oh, very nice.
To have an inviting, calm, and calming place to relax. Yes.
And was that painted plein air, out in the open?
I started plein air.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as we know, the light, I tend to be slow, so by the time I spend an hour or two, the light is completely different.
Yeah.
So I always take a picture to finish at home. Normally in the summer, that scene is full of people and kids playing, or people playing frisbee and so on. But I think it was the late afternoon.
Yeah, yeah. You definitely captured the serenity of that particular park. And then these close-ups of natural forms, like the red leaves. Is that a Japanese maple, or what is that?
That is also inspired on a different painting that I saw, where the background was blue, and then there were very close-up images of leaves and branches. I think I wanted to have more light in there. I couldn't get it through, but it's more inviting the viewer to see through what's behind. I have a similar painting that is there are yellow leaves instead of red leaves.
What I like about that particular painting is there doesn't seem to be a focal point. Like, my eye just wants to go everywhere. Mm-hmm. And because it's so well done, like technically, on a technical level, like, you know, I'm not fixated on any place where I might be, where if it were a lesser painting or done by a person with less skill, you know, I might be fixating on something that wasn't rendered quite as well or something. But it's all done so equally well, and the fact that there isn't like a focal point anywhere, like it's very playful. Like, my eyes are just going all over the place with that.
Yeah, it's a complex kind of painting, because, as you say, it has depth, and at the same time it has close-up things, and the viewer tends to float around looking for things or imagining shapes and things like that. Yeah, I like that.
And then we have this other, more realistically rendered kind of tropical leaf form. And this one is a little more photorealistic even. Was this done with, now are these acrylics?
Yes, they're all acrylics.
They're all acrylics.
This was done with a picture. I took a picture of a few leaves, big leaves in southern Spain. Mm-hmm. There is like a tropical garden, and there are palm trees and banana trees and all kinds of tropical plants. And what I like about this painting was the complexity of the colors and the shadows. Yeah, I thought twice about starting to paint this painting, because I think it was difficult to convey the different kinds of greens and and it's a hard painting. It was a hard painting for me to make, especially to make it realistic. But I enjoy it though, maybe because of its difficulty, I believe.
Yeah, there's a nice interplay with light and shadow, and especially the very like almost white spots on the leaves.
Yes.
You know, like just the way you see direct sunlight interact with a surface like that. It's very well done. It looks like a noonday sun on these plants.
Yes, it makes you feel really warm.
Yeah. So that's a painting that you want in your house during winter.
Exactly. It is true.
And then we have a differently rendered nature scene with this painting here, where the trees, the tree forms look a little more stylized, like in an illustration style, almost cartoony, and then you have a very animated kind of sense with the leaves and the ground. It feels very animated, like there's a lot going on in the back. A lot of commotion.
That one is not very realistic, but it's very colorful.
Yeah.
So it makes you feel good, even though it's not. It's a made-up landscape where the colors are not quite the way they are in reality, but it could be. I think nature always surprises us.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see things that you say, no, this. If I paint this or if I take a picture of this, it's going to look too pretty or too tacky or too artificial, and yet that's the way it looks like.
Yeah.
It was very playful to do that.
Yeah, it looks fun. It looks like it was fun to paint.
Yes.
And yeah, it looks like a carnival style party is happening in the forest. So
Exactly. You could hear the music.
you can hear the music, exactly. And then looking through a few more of these, yeah, we have this other painting where, you know, you've taken a moment in nature, maybe like around sunrise or sunset, and then you've added these really, I would almost like psychedelic, like lower third of the painting there, which I really love. I love those kinds of explosive colors, and that shadow color. That's so nice. You know, usually you think of painting a shadow and you have to stay dark, but to go with a pretty like out of the tube blue for a shadow like that. That's really bold. That really stands out in that painting.
I think shadows have colors. They might be darker, but they also have colors. Now that color is obviously not a natural color because it's made up. It's invented. But that's the way I started to see it. Originally, it had much more blue. It was more bluish. But you also got very much the time of the day. That was painted plein air.
Where was that?
It was in Maine, near a lake, near the White Mountains.
Oh, wow.
And it was almost maybe 7 p.m. in the summer. So the sun was going down. You can tell by the length of the shadows.
Right.
And it was a very peaceful moment. And I said, you know, why not? Let's try this.
Yeah.
Now then I finished at home because the sun went down and I didn't have any more light. And then at home I said, why not? Let's play more with the colors. And that's the way it came out like that. I think we got the idea of the sun setting, but at the same time the unique colors of the ground and the shadows.
Now, are there any paintings that you want to talk about in our last few moments here? Is there anything that stands out to you?
This painting on the right, the one that you are just going through.
Yeah.
This is in the similar area up in Maine, but it's winter. I didn't paint that outside. That was a picture, and even though it's a very cold painting, is a very inspiring because you see the little piece of light
Yeah.
that tells you that it's a warm place inside that little house.
Yeah. Life goes on.
Life goes on.
in
Maybe
winter.
somebody is, talking to a friend by the fireplace or listening to music while it's cold and really freezing outside.
They're having thoughts of the spring to come.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're waiting for the spring to come and they're having warm thoughts.
Yeah.
Maybe around a glass of wine or something like that.
What I really love about this painting is the way that, like, winter, once the sun goes down, that it's you get a gradation of all these different blues, especially when there's snow on the ground.
Yes.
The way that light reflects off the snow, and then once light starts disappearing, then the landscape kind of begins to fade away.
We tend to make the mistake that of thinking that the snow is white, but as you say, snow reflects whatever is around,
Yeah.
colors, or even depending on the way the light hits the snow, it could have different colors. Mostly bluish, but it could be anything. And that's what I try to convey with that painting.
Yeah, very, very successful in conveying a New England winter. Yeah, whenever like December through March. That's like
at least
the picture in my mind of it. At least, yeah, if we're lucky. And then there's beautiful fall colors like right next to. Like the fall comes around and I take pictures of all the different leaves and all the different like waves of changing leaves and send them off to my family members who don't quite have that dramatic a fall. And
I think we're lucky to be where we are.
Yeah.
So much going on with the seasons.
I think so. Yeah. So your body of work is just great, and even as I scroll through this and just seeing the stuff that we weren't able to talk about, but that hopefully like a representation of all this work is in the show here at SMC. Yeah, and those dates again, August 19th through September 25th. Our guest artist at Somerville Media Center will be Ricardo Maldonado. So come see these fantastic natural paintings. How would you describe your paintings?
You just said it.
Natural? Okay. I don't want to sound trite or anything. It's definitely more than that. There's so much more than that, and we hope you come out and see them.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.